All right, so with our gorgeous Miss Ruby, you ready, cutie? So I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna do a little bit with our dog bed or the cot and practice a little bit with going to our place and sort of practicing stays. Um, the other thing too, I know that you guys are still at times having some trouble with the house training. You did say it's been getting much better, which is awesome. But I would highly recommend to, for now, almost pretend like she is a baby puppy once again, and just really stay on top of sort of the duration she's out and about, see how much water and food or items are going in. I would still recommend to keep like a log so you can see how many pees, how many poops in a day, just in general. If you are not going out with her to see what her potty breaks are like, you could be having moments where she's actually not going to the restroom, but instead exploring, then comes back in, holds a little bit longer. Maybe you're not around and she happens to have the mistake. I know she just went through her first heat cycle not too long ago, so she's turning into a big girl. It's also one of those things where I think you mentioned she did have a little bit of a condition, which those things could have also added to the house training troubles at times. Though I think for her, it's more so making sure that and I don't think this is what you guys are doing, but make sure we never scold a mistake. Because your puppy may start to get overwhelmed, feeling comfortable going to the restroom in front of us. She will not realize you're mad as to where she's going. She's going to think you're mad. Chew them, ma'am. She's going to think you're mad because of she did go to the restroom. And that's where puppies try to avoid going to the bathroom near people, because we tend to reinforce the fact that we get agitated when they make a mistake, and therefore we're not safe to go to the bathroom around. So I would, if she's very food driven, but not so food driven she forgets to use the restroom, is you could also feed her little morsels like carrots or some of her training treats or her kibble for any time she does a great potty break outside. I would also recommend an enzymatic cleaner. Simple solution, nature's miracle, something that's going to break down the urine and fecal matter so that way your puppy can't smell that thing again. Because since our dogs, again, see their whole world through their sense of smell, they communicate heavily through going to the restroom, and that also lets other dogs know who they are. So the concept of only having an outdoor restroom and not use the environment in which you live in is very peculiar to dogs. So that's something that they have to learn in that culture clash of different sort of perspectives from our human world and their doggy world. So right here, even though I've been blabbing, I have been feeding the gorgeous gal for hanging out on her target mat. So this could be a raised dog bed. It could be a dog blanket. It could be a doggy bed. I think you had mentioned that at one point she was sometimes breaking her bedding. Remember too that puppies around her age group will have a second teething phase as well. You're also just dealing with adolescence, which is super fun. But around 9 months is when, depending on the breeds, you will have the bigger incisors poking through, and it's almost like you rebooting the Mel the alligator from before. So I would highly recommend give appropriate chew items, lots of good mandatory nap or relaxation moments throughout the day, because a puppy of her age will still need roughly about 18 hours of sleep. So it could be a little bit less, but even adult dogs really need 16. Puppies younger than her could even be as much as 20 hours of sleep in a day. So if, again, we're not getting enough rest, that could be also why she or other puppies could be especially mouthy, rambunctious, and very hard to manage mentally and physically. So right here, I'm going to feed her last little morsel. I'm going to tell her she's all done. I might give her a little bit of some loveys. Good job. And then we're going to get Miss R off of her bed. So with the stay behavior, I'm going to give her a couple find-its just to get her up and wiggling, because from being stationary, being an adolescent, you do want to take a break and get a moment to wiggle, though she did do a gorgeous job earlier with lots of find-its and some recall practice. So we are going to go ahead and go bed. She's like, where is it? Yes, very pretty. I'm going to set her up so everybody can kind of see her a little bit better. Ready? Bed? She's like, did you throw it? Yes, nice job. So right here, I'm going to tell her to stay. If you guys have gotten a little bit confused, I know for some folks, and again, you can do it however it makes sense for you guys. For me, I like to have a distinct stay behavior and a distinct wait behavior, just like I have a sit and a down. So for my guys, I like to think of stay as in statue stay. So if a statue can't move, that means I have to go back and get my dog from their stay position. To build up value in the stay, poor Rubes, she's like, I am so exhausted. She's gonna catch her breath, but it's hard. She's wearing her fur coat 24/7. I have the heat on because I don't like to be cold. And then of course we were romping around like a wild lady. That tongue's gonna fall out, she says. So with the stay, to build value in it, we want to feed for while she's in it. So if I lose Miss R, she's not in trouble, but I'm going to regain her sit, maybe on her bed, tell her once more to stay, and then restart the exercise. So with stay, I'm feeding my puppy for being stationary. So they only get reinforcement while in the stay. I don't call my dog to me with a recall. I don't have them move off the stay. I go and get them. For wait, that would be where they're holding back. I normally do wait a moment and then I do stay. It's up to you guys for hand signals. And then when I'm doing my recalls, that would be from my wait behavior. So they'd be waiting, I'd say their name, and I'd tell them to come. For this one, Mr. B says, I'd rather wrestle. So for this one, I'm feeding her while she's stationary. So if, let's say, she gets a little distracted with one of her classmates barking while he's kind of wanting to romp and wrestle, I'm going to reinforce a little heavier. So what I mean by that is my rate of reinforcement is going to go up to either create more value in this challenging behavior or to create more value in the skill itself and make it seem more pleasurable from her perspective. Oh, she says, I hear them. Yeah, they're singing too. So let's say Miss R did a little woo-woo. No big deal. She's holding her stay. I'm just reinforcing for this lovely stationary again. And then right here, I'm going to go all done, and then we can get up and break. So I don't feed her for being all done. Once she's left her stay and we've wiggled, then I could go into working some find its, or I could work some eye contact or puppy push-ups, whatever seems good for a different thing to work on after. For stays, we want to make sure that these are not becoming overwhelming. So what I mean by that is sometimes, let's say company's coming over and it's going to be really exciting and we're forcing the dog to try to stay stationary. That's where stationary positions for teens, bed, or any dog that hasn't worked them that well when arousal or excitement gets high, is that we don't want to go ahead and start making the dogs have to stay when things can become overwhelming or stressful. Because it's almost like someone saying, like, I noticed you're feeling really overwhelmed, but instead of like pacing or getting up and feeling better by moving, I want you to sit still and just like, don't worry about it. Just shush, you're fine. And the problem with that is when you're like, let's say you're having a hard moment, someone says, just calm down. You may not feel like calming down. So I'm not saying that we and our dogs can't learn how to regulate our emotions a little bit better at times. But if we're dealing with a moment where your puppy is struggling and then we're forcing a behavior on them, we're ruining the feels around that behavior. So if I were forcing her to sit stay as something overwhelming was happening off in the distance, she might start to think that sit stays are what equal the bad's about to come get me. So we do want to be cautionary as to how and what we're exposing our puppies to when we're rehearsing and practicing skills. She's like, I'm exhausted. What a good job. So again, I haven't told her anything. We're still rocking the stay position. But let's say I'm going to go back and end it for her. You'll see that I haven't added tons of distance. My time frame is about the same every few seconds or so. If this was going amazing, then maybe I would add more distance. Maybe I would shorten my time frame. Maybe I would extend the time frame. It all depends. So let's say I'm going to go back to her. I'm going to feed her a couple little morsels because she did such a nice job. So again, a little jackpot. And then I'm going to say all done. And then I might wiggle my fingers to get her up and wiggling, but no snacks were given. What a smart girl. She's like, maybe that is a crumb. Well, that one was delicious. So with your place behavior, to help generalize these skills, you would want to do them in different parts of your home. Maybe you could rock it. We'll try a little down. Yes, nice job. For the down position versus the sitting, I like to feed typically on the cot. You can feed directly to your pup. So right here, I'm just going to, again, because I was blabbing, stay and just let her know what we're rocking. And then feed her for these positions, be it the down or the sit. So if, let's say, this one's harder for her, notice how she has a harder time holding the down. She's not in trouble, but I'm going to try maybe one more little time to get her to stay. And we're going to see if she can rock it for a few moments. Yes. Nice. So I'm just feeding again between her little toesies, but you can see it's more challenging. She's also maybe not as comfortable in the weird dog cot, which is fine. So again, stay. I know Mr. B says, I would like to wrestle again. Yes. And with Mr. Bodie, since I know he's kind of recovering and he like pulled or hurt his leg a little bit, so I had him do some hellos and some play for a little bit, but it was after some of the babes have gotten some of their wrestles out, so it was a little bit softer. But he did a really good job mingling with all the beauties. This is really pretty. So right now we're just building up good feelings towards going to our spot. She's like the greatest day of her life. She's like, if we could come to the buffet every day, that sounds really nice. Yes. So, but let's say on this next rep, I'm going to end the beautiful stay from her. I'm going to go ahead and feed her last little morsels, a little extra saliva, which is always delicious for everybody. This is why I like my slime rag. I'm going to say, all done. And then we can get up and break. So you can also capture moments your puppy goes and does this on their own. Like, let's say she doesn't tend to veg very well. This would be something I would start to practice. Maybe while you're sitting and watching TV, she gets a little bit of a chewy or she gets a lick item, but you're also implementing that every so often. She's being fed for vegging. So that way you can start to build up. She's like, ooh, cool stuff on the wall. That way you can start to build up that this has very nice value from her perspective. But for day number 1, Miss R did a very nice job. So we'll probably give you a little break, ma'am. She's like, hoo-wee. She did go out for a restroom break as well in between some filming. So she's doing great. Though in here, I always tell my students, don't think about this as like a house training issue in here. This was a doggy daycare for almost 10 years before I had moved in almost now close to 5 years ago. Oh, we heard a noise. So right here, nice. So real quick, moment for redirection. Rubes heard the big truck and then she saw it in the window and she's like, who the heck is that? So notice how as opposed to being like, that's enough or quiet or knock it off, I instantly use my positive interrupter, which is my kissy noise, which means whatever you're doing, just come check in for something amazing. And then from there, I was able to redirect her. And remember, I'm not feeding her for the woo-woo. I'm feeding her for checking in and moving away from the thing and coming back to me. And then I'm feeding her for that beautiful response. But remember, you can't reinforce fear. So if she were to get scared at the truck and she was barking and then I threw food on the floor and then she went into doing that, I'm not feeding her for the bark. I am now having her instead forage for crumbs on the floor and do that to replace the barking or the feelings of fear. Ready? Find it. So, but back to our gorgeous gal is for the house training in here, as I was mentioning, this is like an indoor dog park. So I would not view it as a house training issue in here. It is confusing because it does smell like dog-tastic time, which means that for a lot of dogs, this might be a great place to leave your information behind for other friends to find out more about you. But for Miss R, we're gonna give her a little breather. She did a really nice job. She's trying to find all those morsels. We'll maybe do one little recall. Ruby, come. Oh, smart girl. But I'll go ahead and do a little find it there so she can have a good time. But she's going to take a little breather, but she did great for day number 1.